Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 76 with Dave and Mark. Tonight's special guest is Rhett Shull. Rhett's got an awesome YouTube channel, great band, great musician. Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm well, man. Thank you guys for having me. I was talking to you briefly last night, Mark, and I just want to say it genuinely is like a really big honor for me to be on the show.
Thanks, man.
I've been watching for a long time, so it's really, really cool to be here. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it all started with we decided that we wanted to do a show to shoot the shit with people.
Well, here we are, man.
And boy, some shows we've shot the shit.
I've seen them. I've been there.
Yeah, for long hours. Well, cheers. Happy Friday to everybody who's watching.
Yeah.
I'm just drinking water tonight, but you're drinking. What are you drinking, Rhett?
So this is some Bullet 10-year, and I'm trying that out. And then when this is done, I've got some Russell Reserve 10-year as well.
See, I've never heard of Russell's Reserve.
It's pretty good. I think it's made by Wild Turkey.
Oh, okay.
And they're both around, like, this Bullet and the Russells, I think, are right around like the $40 range. So have ourselves a little shootout tonight and see which one is better. Which one comes out.
I feel a little bit behind here. I only have 818 Brewing Good Day IPA.
Nice.
818. So, it's like a pedal.
But then we have a taste test with the Matador Red 818.
Is the red? That's not an IPA, right? What is that?
No, it's just a Matador. It's like a red ale.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah.
Like this one though, the Good Day IPA is 9.2%. So Good Night IPA is what it should be called.
I think somebody's correcting me in the comments. I guess Buffalo Trace makes Russell's Reserve. Let me see here.
Of course.
I can just lead it. No, it is Wild Turkey. I'm right. I know what the hell I'm talking about.
So apparently they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Maybe they were just saying they're drinking Buffalo Trace. I don't know.
That could be.
Maybe.
That could be.
Sorry, we don't read the comments very carefully.
I'll tell you, in this new environment that we're using, they flow by quick. And BV sent me instructions on how to do the slow chat.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. I guess I really am officially old because I was like, I cannot figure out how to do this.
The slow chat's a thing, man. And shout out to BV. He's a regular over on my live streams as well. And so, yeah, the slow chat, it is like a threshold. Once there gets to be enough people, it's like you just can't read everything. And then it gets weird. It's like you feel like it feels like now there's a bunch of people in the room, whereas like when you can read everything, it just feels like you're kind of hanging out with people, which I much prefer.
Right.
Pretty much what we have to do is, like, if there's any super chats, Mark, is pretty much answer them as soon as they pop up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they go away.
Yeah.
I agree.
Then you don't answer you very nice viewers that have sent us money and we don't get to answer.
They go away.
Yeah. We feel shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I felt badly. There were a few that got left out of Steve Lukather's show, and but thankfully a few folks posted them in the comments of the video, and I got them answered from Steve. He was nice enough to.
Pete Thorne with his because he uses the same platform. He just screenshots the super chats.
That's not a bad idea.
And then he just starts. Then he goes back and go back to them.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I know
you can literally sit there, just the key command on your thing and screenshot it.
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah, that's the key commands. Now you're going way beyond my tech. I just take my phone out and take a screenshot.
Actually, Pete actually takes the picture with his phone.
Okay. All right. He's on the same level with that.
Screenshot. It's just,
Right. We're talking the real low.
High tech here.
Yeah. So Janice Lala, thanks for watching. She said, I'm still watching the replay of Lukather. Yeah.
He talks fast. You have to there's little nuggets of information that he spewed out of his mouth very quickly.
Totally. No, that was fun. But So, Rhett, how'd you get into your channel? You've been doing the channel a long time, right?
About 2.5 years. Yeah.
I thought longer for some reason.
No, I've had a YouTube channel since like 2009, but it was it was when I signed up for it so I could watch. Does anybody remember those Kimbo Slice videos? Speaking of Florida, it's like this dude that used to have like backyard brawls. I remember being in school, and it was a huge thing to go watch Kimbo Slice videos on YouTube, like 2008, 2009.
Really?
And,
I don't remember.
Yeah, and so that was like early days of YouTube before people really knew what it was or what it could be. So I signed up for an account then, and kind of messed around with making videos here and there. Every couple of years, I'd get a wild hair and like, oh, I'm gonna swap a speaker in my Blues Junior and make a video about it, and then wouldn't post another video for 8 or 9 months. And it came from I was interning at Rick Beato's studio, and he started his YouTube channel back in like 2016, I think it was July something of 2016, and I've always been a huge YouTube fan. Like it's been my number one source of like media consumption for years. I don't really watch Netflix or anything else. It's all YouTube. And so I had wanted to make videos for a really, really long time. And then when I saw Rick start to develop a following and his channel started growing, I was like, and I was on a touring gig at the time, touring out with a band out of Nashville, and that band broke up. And so I was living with my wife down in Atlanta, in Decatur, and we had a little house down there, and I was off the road for a while and didn't have anything lined up. And so I figured that was as good a time as any. And that was January of 2018 is when I decided, okay, I am a YouTuber now. I just start making videos. I had no subscribers or no views or anything, but yeah, that's where it started, and I haven't stopped since.
That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, and if I got the story right, weren't you the one who kind of pushed Rick to start his channel?
Yeah, man. It kind of happened organically. So I met Rick in 2012 or 2013. I was playing with an artist here in Atlanta, and they went and did a record at Rick's. And that was when I met him and his assistant, Ken Lanyon, who we call GL. And that was my first time really being in a recording studio environment. And I loved it. I absolutely fell in love with being in the studio and stuff. So I asked them after that session, I was like, hey, could I start coming by and hanging out? And they were cool with it. And that turned into an internship. And I worked there for, a few years and played on a bunch of records. And that's how I ended up getting the touring gig in Nashville. That band came down to Rick's to make a record, and I played on the record, and that all happened. And then, but as long as I've known Rick, he's always been that sort of like, very transparent and wanting to teach people and wanting to share information. And it just made sense, man. He had been doing these like Facebook live streams and Periscope live streams at the time, where he would sit for like 3 hours with 1 or 2 people watching on Periscope and just talk. He'd sit in his control room and just talk. And so he did that for a few weeks. I finally came in the studio one day and I was like, man, you should think about starting a YouTube channel. And he did, and just took off with it, man. I think in his first year, he made like 400 something videos. I mean, it's
wow.
Went,
Yeah, and then it just took off from there. That's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
you got quite a following also, so nothing to sneeze at. So Albus Band,
yeah.
thanks for the super chat. Repaying some what I drank from Dave's booth in January. You're all legends, and Rhett's a good dude. Thanks, man.
Thank you, man. And I know Albus; he's a good guy. Albus is one of those guys that we all, that like there's NAMM friends, the people that you only ever see at NAMM. You see him once or twice a year. Albus is one of those guys. Yeah.
And now we're gonna miss that.
I tend not to remember those people because there's so many.
Unless they hand you a bottle of alcohol.
Well, this is true. This is true. If they do bring a bottle of alcohol to contribute to the NAMM bar, I probably will remember you. I might not remember your name, but I will remember you're the guy that brought that bottle of You know, well,
Right.
actually,
Pisco.
one of our regulars here, that bottle of Pisco,
Right.
he'll know who he is.
Yeah. Hey, we have another super
Oh,
chat.
chili.
Just jumping right into folks. Thoughts on Rickenbacker? Martin Rios, thanks for your super chat. Well, I'll reserve my thoughts. What do you think, Rhett?
I really want one. I want a Rickenbacker 12 string real bad.
I think that's the one to have.
Yeah, you're gonna have one, and I love like Tom Petty and I worship Mike Campbell. If I could be any guitar player, I think I'd want to be Mike Campbell. And so the 12 string Rick is it's a pretty crucial sound for a lot of that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I agree.
You're gonna hate yourself when you have to restring it.
Oh yeah. I've got a Dan Electro 12 string that I got recently, and I'll never restring it. I'll
Particularly awful with the Rick.
Offset.
So I'll tell you a story about that. Yeah, because the way the tuners are and everything. But the story about that is when I was 18 years old, I was working for Andy Brower's studio rentals in Los Angeles. And so at the time, this was the heyday of sessions and heyday of rentals and everything else. So, they have every known guitar known to mankind, vintage, everything, Rickenbacker 12s, Rickenbacker 6s, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And as employees, it was our job when the guitars came back from rentals to restring them. So, and learn to do it properly and learn to do, intonation and everything, complete maintenance on it. And that guitar, if there was a pile of 6 to 8 guitars to restring in a pile, that guitar always got pushed to the last.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone took every other guitar but that, but eventually someone had to do it. And man, is it a bitch.
Yeah.
In particular, a Rickenbacker with the way the tuners are. Oh man, I don't wish that. I have nightmares about that. I'll never own one of those just because of that.
Yeah.
Or just give it to somebody to do.
And the other thing about the Rickenbackers that I hate is it's a great sound. It's a unique individual tone, but the way they do the lacquer on the boards and the way it comes up on the frets, essentially, can't stand that. I remember one time a luthier friend of mine had to refret one. And when he refretted it, he took down the lacquer buildup and everything and then refretted it and made it all pretty. And oh my God, it was like, oh, now this is really great.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, that's my biggest pet peeve. When I was at NAMM, I made a point to go to the Rickenbacker booth and really try to do, because they didn't have any lefties there, unfortunately. That's my plight, my issue wherever I go. But for the most part, I wanted to just check the necks and just see what kind of quality we're talking about. And I was a bit disappointed on how sharp the edges were on their necks, the fretwork.
It's not that great.
Yeah, it was like, for the money that you're spending, but like you said, though, I would want a 12 string. If I were going to get it. But other than that, or whatever model that is that John Lennon had, the black one. But I just didn't think the quality was really there.
Refresh my memory. Isn't on the Ricks the high string first too?
You mean on the 12?
On the Rick 12?
I think they flipped it. I think it's reversed on the Rick. It gives that Beatles sound.
Which I think it's the higher string is first.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. It was a long time. Right. I haven't even touched one since like
maybe you're right.
Years ago,
Maybe that's your PTSD from having to restring them.
Absolutely. No. The other one I always loved was the Fender Electric 12
with the hockey stick.
Yeah, that guitar always sounded really cool and it felt really good, especially if it was like a old one.
Yeah, those are underrated, man. Wasn't Bonamassa buying up a bunch of those recently? I think I saw online somewhere. He was buying up a bunch of the old Fender 12s. So, there
at the rental company? There was a candy apple red one from the '60s, and it was just unbelievably cool. Even the neck felt amazing, like a great '60s Strat or something.
Are the Rickenbackers nowadays made overseas, or are they made here in the States?
I have no idea. Grover Jackson worked for Rickenbacker for a while.
Yeah.
Really?
He
I
could
didn't
answer.
know that. You know, I think if I recall that they had both, but I can't say definitively.
Right.
Price might tell.
What's
How
that?
much are they? I don't even know how much they are.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you like 12 string is at least $2,000. I'm pretty sure.
They're not cheap.
That could
No,
go
they're
either
not.
way.
So, yeah, I'm not sure, but you know who just got a 12 string? You know, Vinnie Moretti, Dave.
Yeah.
He got a 12 string Taylor, which
cool.
is strung like the Rickenbacker. So it has that Beatles sound. It's not strung like your typical 12 string.
Oh.
And
People are saying they're still made in the USA, so that's good.
okay.
That justifies the price a little bit more. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine the other day about Duesenberg guitars. And I was surprised that. Do you guys know that Duesenberg, they're made in Korea? They're not like made in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about that on a live stream, and people started commenting. Like a bunch of people started commenting that they didn't know that, and I always kind of considered that as common knowledge. But I think when you look at their marketing and stuff, they're not very forward about it, and they kind of sell it as made in Germany, but it's actually like assembled in Germany. So yeah.
And of course, the name is very German.
Very German.
Right. So
I mean, ultimately, depending on the price and what you're paying for something, will tell you where it's made.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, haven't paid attention to Duesenberg for a while. I mean, how much is a Duesenberg guitar?
They're priced like they're made in Germany.
Oh,
yeah. Like I think they're cool. I have a lot of friends that play them, but they're not priced at a Korean-made guitar price point. Let's say.
Well, the question is, how much of it is done in Germany? Like, I mean, like,
yeah.
At what point? I mean, are the parts made overseas, and then are they painted and assembled and finished and everything else in Germany, or
I have no idea.
Are coming out of a box? I mean, there's a big difference there.
There's a huge difference. They say that they're assembled in Germany, and this discussion that my friend and I were having, it's like assembled could mean literally they're shipping just raw bodies and necks from.
Sure, and then they're painting and finishing and fretting and everything else, which in turn, or it could mean that they're getting done guitars and they're putting the pickups in.
Yeah, and slapping tuners on and doing
and stringing it and setting it up.
Yeah,
right. It's hard to say.
Well, that's what PRS does with their overseas guitars, right? They're built
in the U.S. In the U.S., there's a whole different thing. You can't say, like, for amps, for instance, you can't say made in USA.
Why not?
Because in order to get the made in USA mark, you have all the parts, not all the parts, but there's a certain percentage of the parts that have to be also manufactured in the United States. And in electronics, there are no electronic parts manufactured in the United States practically. So,
possible. Yeah.
So yes, our chassis are made here. Yes, our transformers are made here. Who knows where the steel comes from? But everything else, all the capacitors, all the everything's made overseas. Well, except our Synergy mustard caps, they're USA made too. So hey, there we go.
But so, what do you claim? How do you claim that instead of made in the USA for Friedman amps, what do you say?
You have to be assembled in Los Angeles, assembled in the US.
I see.
Made in Los Angeles, or
but I think the assembled
and built in Los Angeles, any of those things will work. You can't do it, or you will get fined some crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
You can do it with your guitars, though, right? Your guitars are USA made.
Well, yeah, but not the parts, not the bobbins, not pickguard material, not the bridge, not the.
Y'all are building the guitars.
Yeah, but we're building the amps here too. So
right. But the thing I was gonna say is, like, I think amps are a little bit different because people understand, assembling an amp. Like people aren't expecting you to be like actually making the capacitors and resistors yourself.
I understand that, but I was just stating a point is that you can't say made in USA.
Right.
That's
no
crazy, man.
Product can say made in USA because nothing is made here.
Yeah, like all the Wampler pedals, right? I think they say hand built.
You can't say made in USA.
Hand built in the USA or something like that.
Yeah, you can say that. You just can't, because otherwise you get this huge fine. You don't want that fine. The fine is ridiculous.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that is, as Aaron Cram says, that is sad.
How we put it is assembled in Los Angeles from parts all over the world.
Not wrong.
Official things, and which is exactly what it is, because I mean, even if you get a USA made pot, like a CTS pot is supposedly a USA made pot. No, they're not made here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a USA company, but the pots are made elsewhere, and if not the pots, then the assemblies for the pots, and then they assemble them. Right. So it's
I meant to do this. Glass Slide, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Good username.
Yeah. That is, if I use the slide.
I think my favorite username is unfucking believable.
Yeah.
I see some good ones in my comments that I've actually screenshotted a few. And the best are if somebody leaves like a really shitty comment on something, but they have a great username.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Right. It's like really like
let's talk about comments.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Everyone's an expert, man.
We've gotten some doozies over the past week and a half, 2 weeks since the Bob Rock and Steve Lukather shows.
Have we?
Oh yeah. I just got, and people hear me. I just delete it. I read it and I delete it. And I
do the same thing, man. I don't unless now I don't delete, like if it's a critical comment, I leave it up. I mean, I'm all for, constructive criticism or even just non-constructive criticism, but there's a difference between like a critical comment and someone just being
off their meds.
Yeah. Oh God. So the thing that we've run into recently on my channel is I started doing a live show down here from the home studio, and because of the pandemic, we have people in a crowded space. We're just wearing masks. Not a political statement or anything like that. It's just, hey, the CDC recommends that you wear masks, so that's what we're going to do. And the level of just unbridled vitriol and hate that I've gotten from people that think I'm trying to shove like some kind of political ideology down their throat. It's like, man, I just want to play music with my friends, and now the same way. Yeah, this is just the safest way to do it. So I don't like.
Yeah, good. That's the way you should do it.
Right, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, you just care about your health, care about your family.
Right.
I mean, I have my opinions about this, and I don't know if I want to voice them or not, but I mean, just wear the fucking mask and shut up. Sorry. Hey, just wear it, deal with it, and it's not that much of an inconvenience for you. Yeah, come on.
You put on underwear,
and whether that, and let me state something. Whether or not that mask is doing anyone any good or not, I don't really know. I'm not a doctor, but you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
I went to the liquor store to get this beer right before I had a mask on. And California is different. I think everyone in California is wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some, of course, some people that are skirting that a little bit, but like pretty much everyone's pretty respectful going in the, in the stores and everything, and they're all wearing masks. Occasional, fruitcake that isn't, but just wear the mask. Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, we're running into that here too.
Buy a mask you like, whatever. It's how hard is it? Hang it in your window of your car and just like put it on when you walk in the store.
Yeah,
you're in the store for a short period of time. Go on.
It's
take it off back when you get in the car. Great.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I promise.
Exactly. Yeah. Doctors have been doing it for years.
Oh yeah, my wife worked in the dental world has for like the last 6.5, 7 years, and worn a mask every day.
Yep.
Right.
It's fine.
Every day.
Before the pandemic. So.
Yeah.
And so everyone can jump on me, but I won't disagree. I won't go back on what I just said.
I don't think you should, man. And I think, and look, I'm not trying to make this a political discussion at all.
No, neither are we, and I don't want to get into this. And
Yeah,
it's your choice.
It shouldn't be a political discussion.
Well, right, and that's my point. It's like the comment thing was, that's not what we were trying to do. But people took it as if we were trying to force some sort of political agenda, or if they felt attacked. And some of the comments that we got from people were just unbelievable, man. It was unbelievable. So, but that's part of the game, man. It's part of being on the internet. If you're going to choose to put yourself out there in front of people, and especially on a platform that allows, anonymity, and people can kind of hide behind their username and their keyboard, they're going to say whatever they want. And I think they should be able to, it's a kind of a freedom thing, and you just kind of have to take it with the territory. I think, if you're going to get on the internet, you're kind of stepping into the lion's den. I think
there's no doubt about it. Yeah, and
wait, we got great comments, all pro mask wearing here. Buzz Wilson, I'm an RN, spent the time working in Oregon. We wear masks there for a very good reason. It keeps moving. Because they help prevent the spread of all microorganisms. Just wear the mask and shut up.
Yep.
Thank you.
Couldn't
and
agree.
During the 1980s, here's another one, Mike Bledsoe something. During the 1918 pandemic in America, if you didn't wear a mask, you went to jail. Which is maybe what should happen in this country. I mean,
it's getting to the point around Atlanta. It started off really slow. People weren't wearing masks. They weren't paying attention. And then Georgia, like we've spiked real hard in the past few weeks. And I think it finally got people's attention. I've now noticed in the past probably 2 weeks, every time I go out, most people are wearing masks now, which is a good thing. And now we're starting to kind of flatten out. But here's the thing, man. Like, I want to get back to being able to travel and play shows and
wear a mask. I mean, come on, wear a fucking mask. Hell, even if you start doing shows or you're in a position where you can do a show, wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't have to sing.
Well, that is the thing. That is the trouble we're having, is we're singing, and having to sing through a mask has been tough. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. So
it's not the end of the world. Yeah,
I agree. By the way, this is a great name, Kelster von Shredster. Mark, you guys made up for your transgressions. Thanks for getting my answer from Luke. No problem, man. I'm glad. Thanks for your super chat, and glad I could do it.
Yeah, if we ever miss a super chat, people, please tell us, and we will get the answer for you. We will answer it in some fashion.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Stephen Douglas, minus the electronics, aren't Friedman guitars completely made in the USA? Doesn't the wood even come from the US? Oh, yes, the wood does. I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know where all the wood comes from. I'm not sure.
Really?
I mean, to be honest, I mean, it's bought from US wood. Most likely, the wood's coming from the US. Yes.
You guys are using mostly alder and swamp ash.
Alder. No, swamp ash is out because there's some crazy bug or something that's going on, and it's jeopardizing the ash trees or something.
Uh-oh.
So it's an issue right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly alder, to be honest. Alder, maple, rosewood. Rosewood's not from here.
Right.
Yeah, but when you think about the guitar, for instance, like if you take this apart, so okay, let's say the wood is from here, maybe not all of it. Tuners aren't from here.
Mm-hmm.
The Floyd Rose is not made, well, maybe in Germany, but it's still not from here.
Right.
The pickup bobbins aren't made here.
Mm-hmm.
The magnets might be made here. The base plates probably aren't made here. The pots probably aren't made here. The knobs definitely aren't made here. The jacks aren't made here. So basically, not much.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if there's any manufacturer that's saying that their guitars are made in the
A
USA.
Switchcraft jack is made in Mexico. So, I mean, so when I say assembled from parts all over the world, I mean it. It's all over the world. The bridge might be German. The tuners are Japanese. The jack is Mexico, and it's like that with everything, though. I mean, it's like, nothing in your TV is made here.
Right.
Nothing in your toaster is made here. Nothing in your dishwasher is made here, probably. Half of your car is, even if it's an American car, is not made here. All the computer assemblies and wiring harnesses and various other parts in your car are made somewhere else.
Yeah.
Even if it's an American car.
Crazy.
I mean, that's the way it is, man.
L. Scott Music. Why isn't G&L more loved? Can be great guitars, but have lackluster resale value. Well, that's always been the biggest issue with G&L is their resale value, but they're great guitars. I've got a G&L Legacy, great guitar.
Yeah, they're made good. I have a funny thing about guitars. So what makes a great guitar or just a mediocre guitar is really about the fine details and finishing. So meaning the fretwork on the guitar, the little details, the little rounded over neck edges, the little details. So the difference between a Squier Strat and a boutique Strat, hardware to hardware, well, other than pickups or a better bridge or this or that, this is not really much difference. It's really about how the guitar is finally finished and the attentions to detail with the frets and the part selection and the everything else. Wood is wood. So how do you finish it?
I think a great guitar is sort of, you're right. I think there is something to do with really good raw materials, but a piece of alder is a piece of alder is a piece of alder.
Yeah.
It comes from, I think it's a cumulative thing of getting a bunch of little details right along the way that come into a great guitar. And it's, I think, what makes the difference between like an $800 guitar and like a $2,500 guitar is, yeah, I think the materials are a little bit better and higher quality, but it's also the time taken on the little processes and the details. The fretwork is a huge one. Yeah. Making sure the bridge is in the right place. I can't tell you how many guitars I've played that didn't intonate right, and you couldn't intonate them because the bridge was just wrong. It was just in the wrong place because they had probably 30 guitars to do that day or 100 guitars to do or whatever it was, and they just were flying through it, Right. I think that's what people like, whether they realize it or not. I think that's what, when you pick up a really great guitar and it resonates with you, I think it's a result of a bunch of little things that were done right along the way. The finish is a huge one. The setup, all that stuff.
Yeah, it all adds up. It's that final 10, 15%, whatever it is, that gives it, the edge. And for me, I love Fender guitars. That's where it all started. But G&L makes great stuff. They really do. We got a great comment from Cheddar Kung Pao, who's always watching these videos and is a great supporter. What's up, Cheddar? The negative people are a noisy but small group. Most of this community is awesome. I agree with that.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Totally agree with that.
Guitar players are an opinionated group of individuals. I would say probably the most opinionated and most vocal of any group of musicians out there. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well,
yeah, maybe.
The only downside that I see with guitarists in general is that there's just so much competition. Who's better? This better.
There's so much competition anymore. I think there used to be more competition.
Yeah, well, that's
years
true.
Years ago, I find that there was more. That goes way back. I was talking to my friend Dave Black about that, and it's like there there were like, you know, way back, say in the 80s and stuff, the competition was crazy, man. It was like, it was crazy. Just the one guy had to outdo the other guy. This guy's doing this and that guy's that. And it all started with Van Halen.
Right.
You know, and then everyone was like, oh shit. You know, what do I do now?
Well, it almost seems to the point now it's, you know, the internet sensations, these Instagram guitar players, and, you know, people are trying to show up everybody. That's the, you know, that's the competition that way as well. Although it's not particularly stated, you know.
I want to say something though that's probably not. Look, if you don't get to play with a band on a regular basis, you might have chops and you might be good and proficient at your guitar, but you're not put into a situation that really challenges you because it's all controlled. And you know, a great musician is really been played for years with bands, bands after bands after bands, and you know, your skills come from that experience. If you don't have that experience, although you can technically play a million miles an hour or great, but you know, throw some chord changes and play over some chord changes to that are foreign to you, and you're going to fall on your face.
The biggest strides forward I've ever had as a guitar player have never come from like hours spent in my basement practicing or like working on technique or skills or anything like that. It's always come from time spent like rehearsing for a tour, where you're in a rehearsal space for 11 hours a day for 5 days straight, playing with people and trying to arrange and trying to get things right, trying to, you know, recording the stuff, listening back to it. Every time I've been in that situation, it's been incredibly beneficial for my playing and my musicianship. You know, it's one thing. It is. I think you're right. It is one thing to be a great Instagram guitar player, and it's a different thing to be a great like live guitar player or somebody who can play on a session or play on a record or something like that.
Or play with other people, basically.
Yeah, we brought that up in the Luke Tone Talk. You know, it was like those. I mean, they were hired to come in and here's the track. I don't know. It's in the key of G.
Yeah.
Okay. Put something on it. But literally, it's put on the spot in the moment, coming up with a part off the top of your head. You know, whatever they're hearing at the moment in this track. And I saw that a million times. I saw that with Dan Huff, where I remember specifically this one particular session we were at, and they pulled up the track. They didn't even tell them anything about it. They just pulled up the track. What would you put here? And literally within the next 15 minutes, he's playing along to just the track, and all of a sudden he's popping these parts in, and you're hearing, you know, a blank slate, and then all of a sudden you're hearing these parts, and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, but within minutes.
Yeah.
Not dicking with it for days or not thinking about it. It's literally right on the edge. Boom, done.
It's just genius.
There it goes.
To be able to do that,
and doing that, the kind of monster of a player it takes to do that kind of stuff that quickly and come up with the perfect part that, you know, goes on the hit record, or at least in the old days, the hit record. You know,
those guys are my
crazy
hero.
Man. That's mind blowing.
Yeah, those guys are my, like Tim Pierce, Bukovac, you know, John Shanks, like all those guys are heroes of mine for that reason. I think it's that what you just said, Dave, of being able to come up with the part, but it's also getting the right tone instantly, because it's a two-sided, two sides of the same coin. It's like you got to have the right part, but you also got to have the right sound, and you got to come up with the right part and the right sound and execute it in like one or two takes and move on.
the funny thing is I've done a lot of studio work getting guitar sounds for, guitar bands and guitar players in the studio and things. And what it comes down to, if someone had to ask me, all right, I'm building a studio for guitar, basically, and what are the amps I should have, to do this? What are the mic preamps I should have? And I go, well, you should have a Neve and an API. You should have both.
Yep.
Then you should have a blackface Fender of some sort. You should have like a copper top vintage Vox AC30. You should have a old vintage Marshall, like 4-input style Marshall, like Plexi style, early 70s style Marshall. And then if you do it, or if you need it, you should have one higher gain amp.
Mm.
Now there's some honorable mentions in there, like a Hiwatt.
Yep.
Maybe a Silvertone or something for oddball things.
Right.
But pretty much the 4 amps I mentioned, you can do everything with.
Yep.
And you will have all the guitar sounds at your disposal, period.
The way I've always heard it said is there's 3 flavors of amp, and only 3, really, if you boil it down. And maybe Dave, you think something different, but it's Fender, Vox, Marshall. If it doesn't fall under one of those 3 categories, it's something completely different.
Yeah, I think Hiwatt stands outside a little bit, and that's kind of a slightly different tone. And I also and then the high gain territory, if you do that kind of work, that's open to, depending on what style of, if it's a rectifier or a diesel or a Soldano or a Friedman or a
right.
It depends on what sort of high gain you're talking and what kind of work you do.
Orange and Hiwatt. Yeah, that orange is an AD30 from the early 2000s, one of the single channel AD30s. And that to me is basically, it's an AC30 with more balls.
Yeah, that's basically, it's EL84 power section. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. But I mean, pretty much, like if you were just buying from scratch, let's say you didn't have any amps, and get a basement head, get a vintage AC30, just spend the money on it, get a vintage AC30 top boost, and get a old Marshall. I mean, you can early 70s non-circuit board, and then get a high gainer, whichever one of choice.
Right. So I want to ask you about the Marshall thing, because I'm actually kind of in the market. I've never owned any kind of Marshall, and I really, really, I feel like I need one. And nowadays, like with things like the aux, and it actually,
you can crank it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Like, okay, now you can get away with having a 100-watt head,
sure,
on a gig or at the studio or whatever. So what's, in your opinion, if you're going to have one Marshall to rule them all, what are you looking for? What are you getting?
I mean, you could probably do it with a 50-watt.
Are you talking vintage or new?
Vintage 50-watt. You know what? You don't necessarily need the 100. It might be overkill, especially if you are, slamming it into the aux or something. You don't necessarily have to have the 100-watt. I mean, the best bang for the buck would be an early 70s, like 72-ish 50-watt Marshall, but it's going to have to be serviced.
Yeah.
And it's going to have the right spec, because the specs on those amps are all over the place. So, I mean, they can be anywhere from a little more like JTM 45 spec, like super bassy, so fat and classic, or they could be super lead, like, which is more cutting and bright, so I can help you with that.
Yeah,
if you're looking for one, I can help you find one.
I am looking for one.
I can service it for you too. So
yeah, actually Rick a couple months ago bought it's museum grade, a 71 JMP. I don't know where he found it or who owned it before him, but it's like never been touched. It looks brand new. And it sounds incredible.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, so that would be a super lead. That's 100 watt that he has. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that would be a super lead 100 from that era. Would definitely be a super lead spec on the bright channel 1.
Yep.
That's generally what you want out of the Marshall. So
Yeah, I think you guys did a video about that with that amp.
Yeah, we did. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Hey, we got to jump to the super chats because we're behind, way behind. Martin Rios, what are your thoughts on Fender versus Gibson? I personally think they both have their own place in certain situations.
I agree, man. I love both. I actually put out a video today that is essentially my love letter to the Strat. I've never been like never been a Strat guy per se, but I've started playing it more recently, tuned down a half step, and a Strat tuned to E flat makes all the sense in the world. I feel like that's how all Strat should just come that way, and you should just leave them there. That we should just accept as a guitar community that Strats should always be an E or D, tune down a whole step. But I love Gibsons, man. If I had to choose one or the other, I would have to say, I mean, to me, if I'm gonna have one guitar to do everything, it's a 335. And you know,
that's great.
That's where I'm at.
That's cool.
I mean, for me, that I'm not particularly a Gibson guy. I don't really like Les Pauls that much. I don't find them very comfortable to play. I grew up playing Strats and Strat Tellys and things like that. Although my ideal of the perfect guitar is a kind of a super Strat, which would be more like a humbucker with a couple single coils.
Right, like nature.
So it kind of crosses the lines a bit, you know. Ideally, a maple neck Strat with a humbucker in the bridge, 2 single coils, regular trem, locking tuners. That would be like my thing. I like that.
Yeah.
I do like 335s though, I must say.
I
like that more than a Les Paul.
I do too. I think they're the best guitar Gibsons ever made. And Les Pauls are great. But you can't really play them sitting, or at least I can't. I can't play them sitting down.
Sitting down. Right.
I'm tall. I'm like 6'3", and so I always end up with my Les Paul in my lap. I end up hunching over it like this, and then after about 10 minutes, my back hurts and it kills me. But a 335 for me on my lap, sitting down, is the perfect position. The lower bout is right where it needs to be, and the neck is just in the perfect. I can play it all day.
Right.
You know,
I agree. It's a really comfortable guitar to play sitting down.
But standing up, my problem with the 335, at least I was having a hard time with the way the strap button is on the back of the neck.
Yeah.
And the way it sits when you stand.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, it felt very weird for me. Yeah.
Hit you right in the stomach, like right in the belt buckle.
Yeah. It's just a strange placement for that. But hey, we have another super chat. Harmonicaster, thanks for the super chat. How does Dave see the future of music instrument industry post-pandemic? Of the music instrument industry post-pandemic, will brick and mortar stores survive? How will the amp business do it?
Well, frankly, there is more business than we never knew what to do with. In fact, there might be more business since the pandemic. There's no lull in sales. And a lot of retailers will tell you the same thing. Are the mom and pop stores hurting more? Maybe. But if they have their internet sales going and stuff going, they're doing fine. I think if anything, it's inspired more people to, if they're a player, to sit down and have more time, and they're sitting there trying to learn stuff and do stuff, and they want to buy stuff. I think it's also inspired some people to pick up the guitar because they have a lot of time in their hands.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do, right? I mean, I find that everyone is thinking about their gear. They're thinking about their pedal board, or they're thinking about their amps and emailing me. I mean, apparently these people are employed, so
Right.
with extra time on their hands and probably extra money because they're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least I know I'm not.
Right.
Other
Yeah.
than working.
Right. Working and playing.
I wish I had some more time for myself to do stuff that I want to do myself. But, you know.
What would that be? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I mean, just build my own pedal board or build my own, you know, something. And I don't have time for that.
Yeah, I hear you.
I always start them and they just sit there for a while and don't get done.
Because here someone paid $10 to ask you a question about their amp. Hello, Dave. 2016 small box making harmonic sounds. Mike Bilson, by the way, while palm muting. Played same through a rock reverb and fine. Could this be a preamp valve or power valve issue?
I'm not sure what you mean by harmonic sounds. That does not ring a bell to me, so I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. You're hearing like a rattle or a tube rattle, or are you hearing an octave? Or I'm not sure what harmonic sounds means.
You don't have to go to more super chat. Just type it in the chat, and we'll.
Yeah, or better yet, just you know, ask me directly at friedmanamps@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to help you out.
Okay, cool. Lefty Mike, thank you for the super chat. Dave, in episode 2 with George Metropolis, you mentioned that you design amps around the quality of tubes you can get today. With that being the case, is it worth to invest in a good set of new stock tubes? Thanks.
At this point, I would say no.
Good luck finding a set of new.
You know, well, first of all, you're going to pay a fortune for it. You don't know if it's good. If you're talking preamp tubes, maybe you can get, you know, a couple cool preamp tubes or something that you can put in your amp that are great. Power tubes, I mean, if you're going to buy them, you're going to pay a fortune. If they fail, you're out those tubes, and can you get them again? And frankly, I don't think NOS power tubes sound that much better or that different from newer power tubes, to be honest. Slightly, but it's not as night and day as you think it would be. Preamp tubes, on the other hand, you know, some preamp tubes, like if you buy a Mullard preamp tube and put it in your first slot of your amp, and, you know, you're going to hear a difference, especially if it's overdriving. But there's no guarantee that preamp tube will work well either and won't be microphonic. Just because it works doesn't mean it won't be microphonic. So, I mean, you can play, like I said, you can play around with the preamp tubes. I would leave the power tubes at this point. You can't really, you know, we're starting to run out of NOS power tubes.
Yeah.
I
actually have a follow-up question to that on the tube thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a Bugle Boy to go in the V1 of that divided by 13 right there.
Bugle Boy 12AX7?
Yeah.
They're out there. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't mean it won't be non-microphonic.
Right. Yeah, and I know. And I have a friend in Nashville who's got a couple of really good ones that I'm trying to talk him out of, but he won't let them go. Where are we at with tubes, though? So do you foresee a future where even new tubes are going to be really hard to come by and crazy expensive? Because
here's the thing. I mean, this same conversation was had 20 years ago, and we're still have a pretty vast supply of tubes.
Yeah.
I mean, JJ's out there. They're not going anywhere. They're a major tube manufacturer. Although some of the tubes, we use some of the tubes. Yeah. We use some of the preamp tubes and EL84s and a few other things from them. I don't use the EL34s anymore, but because there were some reliability issues there for a minute.
Yeah.
There's a vast supply of Russian tubes.
Right.
Massive. I don't think that's going anywhere anytime real soon.
Yeah.
So, in 20 years from now, maybe not. I don't know.
Do you ever
as far as Chinese tubes right now, those are out of production at the moment.
Yeah.
All Chinese power tubes and preamp tubes are out of production at the moment.
and I'm speaking on this as a total like someone who doesn't know anything about vacuum tube manufacturing, but why doesn't somebody out there, some VC start a well, probably because there's no money in it. I just answered my own question, but why not open up like a boutique tube manufacturer who's repopping like the best tubes for guitar amps, like all the new old stock stuff that we're all after? Why couldn't you make tubes today that are to the same spec as those ones that were done back in the 60s?
Theoretically, you could, and theoretically, you could also manufacture tubes that actually will comply with all the OSHA regulations and everything else in the U.S. Because there are tube-like things being made by computers and machines, that are out there, and that technology could be applied to vacuum tubes for the guitar industry. But the guitar industry as a whole for the whole world is tiny.
Yeah, it's big.
It's tiny. You're not, the amount of development time it would take and money outlay it would take, you would never recoup your money.
Right.
On the amount of tube output, that
yeah, if it was still used by the military,
a lot of these other tubes are made on old machinery. So they're made on machinery that was already developed, when tubes were a mainstay for televisions and radios and airplanes and military and everything else. So a lot of this old machinery is still in use today. And when a part breaks, if they can't find another one or don't have spare parts, then they actually have them fabricated to, replace.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just not a big enough, there's not enough dollars in it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. And especially too, as the guitar industry, other than the guitar industry and the hi-fi industry, I mean, I know there are some tubes that are used in the medical world. Like there are some medical lasers that I know of that still use like tubes, but they're not using like EL84s.
No, correct. There's some medical, there's still some military stuff used too. Certain old fighter planes and things that are still around. But again, those aren't anything like 6L6s or EL84s or it used to be the mainstay, and the funny thing is tubes used to be used in military and stuff because they were the most reliable. They're more reliable than it actually, what's available now.
Which I assume is digital.
Yeah.
But again, it's still not a 6L6 or EL34.
Surprised somebody on the gear page hasn't like made a thread about like, man, you got to find these tubes that they flew in F-15s back in the 80s, man. Those are the best tubes. You put them in your 5150. Those are the shit, man.
Right?
Oh yeah, that'll sound awesome. Dave from Rummy73, thanks for the super chat. Why did Michael Schenker prefer 50-watt Marshalls over 100? Also, what does plugging into the low input of an amp offer tone and feel versus high input?
Well, generally the 50 watts were known to be a little grittier and a little, obviously a little friendlier on the ears, but a little more soft and a little more compression and stuff to them. The low input of an amp, really, the low input of an amp is the traditional sense, like a Marshall and or a Fender. It's just attenuating what's going into the first tube. So it's literally just patting down your guitar. And what that can do is it can, not only does you lose a little gain, but sometimes you lose a little top end too. So sometimes it can be kind of a slightly sweeter. So you can use it as just a tone thing, like the low input on our Dirty Shirley was cool because it had, a little more rolled off on the top end. It had a little thing to it.
Mike Bilson. So do you think there could be another kind of new tube valve which could be used with current amps?
No, not that anyone knows of.
Chris Dice Art says, Rhett, I will go start that thread on the gear page. Let's see what happens.
Well, it's going to be 20 pages long.
Please do that. Please, somebody do that and tag me in it. I gotta see that.
Oh, yeah, it'll definitely be 20 pages or more. Or 100.
We'll be posting pictures at like an aircraft boneyard, like digging through old, DC-10s or something, trying to find boobs.
Always amazes me how long the threads can possibly go on the gear page. It's reasonably impressive.
Yeah,
because at some point in time you watch it being constructive and good and cool, and then it's like, well, why are we still posting here?
I've tried I've always struggled with the gear page. Every time I've gone on to try and find some information or learn about something, and I still do it from time to time today. I'll like go look something up, and then you're right, you get one or two good posts and it looks really intriguing, like, oh cool, I'm about to learn what I came here to learn, and then you're 12 pages in and just like
starts to spiral.
Yeah, what's happening?
So Dave, your favorite amp is a 50-watt Marshall.
Yeah, it's behind me. The top one behind me. It's a 50-watt Plexi Marshall, 68. So that is that's the one for me.
Nice.
That's where all my amps started from.
So, BV says 300 plus watching, only 65 likes. Come on, people, let's do the thumbs up, and also, if you could, please press subscribe and click the bell. All right. This way you'll get notifications on all our channel guests and shows that are coming up. You can also see the community and where we make notifications and all kinds of stuff. So please do that. And also check out Sweetwater. We'll provide a link, or there's a link somewhere down below. So
Sweetwater carries everything.
Sweetwater's got everything. Yeah. Love it. Rhett, so tell us about because you and I were talking about this last night. Tell us about the live shows that you're doing now, since we're all locked in.
Yeah. Well, the next one is happening Sunday night, 5 p.m. Eastern time. It's called Backstage Live, and it started out as a fun kind of idea. It was actually my dad's idea when this whole pandemic thing started. I still tour and play and do the hired gun guitar player thing. And I had a pretty full schedule lined up for 2020. And obviously that all just went to shit. So once that started happening, my dad came to me one day and was like, you should start live streaming shows.
Mm-hmm.
And it started off like, okay, cool. Yeah, it would be fine. We could, get some people together and, turn on some cameras. And then it just kind of grew and grew into this whole thing. And we had our first episode July 11th, and it was great, man. Basically, it's a full band, fully produced, fully mixed live concert. We have like 8 different cameras and a full broadcast mix and a whole. It's not what you think when somebody says, "Oh, live stream show." It's not what you're thinking. So yeah, man, I put together a band of really close friends of mine that are all incredible musicians. They're all much better musicians than me. I'm definitely the worst player in the room, which is by design. And yeah, we've got 2 guest artists coming on this show this Sunday. So we're going to do a combination of some original music and a few covers that we've kind of turned into our own thing. So it's really exciting, man. We're just gonna keep doing them once a month from here till whenever,
Well, I heard the last one, and the quality sounded fantastic. I mean, it was an excellent mix. Sounded, it sounded great. I mean, it did not sound like someone with an iPhone. They're filming a band playing, and it really had a good vibe to it. They really sounded great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it took a lot of work to get there. And I think I told you this last night. I would not recommend anybody try and do this. because it was such. It started out as like a great fun idea, like, yeah, this will be cool, man, and I've got the gear, you know, it'll be fine. I've got some cameras, and I had no idea what I was getting into. There were multiple parts when we were getting ready for the first show where I was pulling my hair out, thinking like, what the hell did I get myself into? But I'm really glad that we decided to do it, and it means that I get to play live music for people again. And it's crazy, man. Like that first show, 50,000 people watched that first show. And when you think about it in terms of like actual gigs, you could play for a whole year and not play for that many people. You know, this is thing about the internet that I still can't get over. It's like there's 300 people watching this right now. 300 people.
Right.
You know, that's crazy to me. So yeah, Sunday, 5 p.m. on my channel.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Can you describe the challenges of doing something like this from a full-scale professional level? Because this is not...
I'll be right back.
Sure. This is, like I said, this is not just filming a band. You know, this is everything's mic'd professionally. And so, yeah, if you can go into it, I'd be curious. If you can go.
I think the level, it's pretty easy to put on a live stream and to make it sound decent and to make it look decent is pretty easy nowadays. You could spend a few $100, get a couple cameras, get a switcher, and make it work. But to go from decent to like pro quality, it is exponentially more cost intensive, and it takes a lot more expertise. We have the guy who actually mixes the show is Andy McDonald. He's a friend of mine, engineer friend of mine. And his day job is a systems engineer, but he is an incredible audio engineer. I mean, you heard his mix. He knows what he's doing. And it takes someone like him who understands audio, but also understands technology and signal flow and systems integration and network integration to do this. Because what we're trying to do is we have 28 channels out in the live room, bringing all that in, mixing it in real time, processing it in real time, sending that out, as well as taking 8 different camera angles, combining those, switching those in real time. We have somebody running a switcher, switching cameras, and then combining that into one stream and getting the audio and video synced properly, getting the frame rates right, getting the sample rates right, getting all the stuff correct was insane. And we're using Luna from Universal Audio as our DAW, which has been great. But we're using that. Universal Audio did not design that DAW with this workflow in mind, and so we've run into a few walls, and it's nothing that they did wrong, but we're essentially trying to take a recording studio DAW and turn it into a live broadcast DAW. And what's been really cool is we ran into a few sort of limitations, and we're able to jump on a Skype call with them a few weeks ago and kind of talk through the issues with them, and they kind of work some things out for us so that we can make it work for what we're doing, which is pretty badass.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so it's all in all, I'm really glad we did it. And now that we're set up, it'll be much easier to just replicate. Like we can just put the set together, put the music together, and play. But getting ready for that first show was a feat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I bet. You know, that's an interesting idea that maybe Universal Audio may want to think about, which is taking Luna and being probably being the first company to have a live stream platform for producing music.
Somebody needs to do it, man. I think one of the things that's going to change with the pandemic, one of the parts of the music industry that's going to change is live streaming of shows is here to stay. And we're just people are just starting to kind of figure it out. Like I have my thing that we're trying out. We're trying out one way. I see a lot of other people trying out like a different way. We're all just sort of throwing shit at the wall right now and seeing what sticks. But the bottom line is everyone's kind of figuring out. So that show, my band, we're all hired gun guys. We all tour, we all travel, but we got to play a show and then go home and sleep. And we got, you know, I think there's a lot of, I think that's a part of the industry that's going to be here to stay.
Yeah. You didn't smell like cigarettes?
No, I didn't get beer spilled on my pedal board.
Right.
I didn't get in a fight out behind the venue.
Right.
It was
fight for your money with the owner.
Yeah. So
yeah, but also, the live streaming thing for even venues.
Yes.
So like, for instance, like the Baked Potato out here has been doing live streaming of artists you never get to see. You're not gonna, unless you're out here and you're in the Baked Potato holds like 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's tiny. So unless you're out here and fortunate enough to see that, you just don't get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But in a streaming, like a pay for streaming kind of event, say it's $5 or something, maybe you can see Mike Landau play a set at the Baked Potato while it's sitting there having a beer in front of your computer.
Yeah.
Live right then and there,
Now there is something that's definitely lost by not being in the room, and that's something that you'll never be able to replace. And that's a reason that actual live music will never die. That'll never go anywhere.
Yeah, but the revenue stream of just the taking that concert. So let's say you are able to have people in the venue, and you got 100 people, and you do it twice or whatever, a couple hundred people watched it, but that stream can go to another thousands more.
Yeah,
and they all paid $5, which is less than the fee to get in the club, or $10 or whatever the fee is, which is less than the $20 or $25 to get in the club. And now, people in Singapore are able to watch it.
Right.
People in Germany, people in, wherever are able to watch it.
Yeah.
It should become a more commonplace thing.
And that's super cool, actually.
And it's free money.
I mean, like, if there's some great event, okay, like, hypothetically, think about this for a second. So, remember when years ago now, when Led Zeppelin reunited,
mm-hmm.
and they played, that show. And I know later it became a DVD and this and that and all that, but what if it was, technology was there at the time and it was live streamed across the globe, and you could pay $20 to see it, or $25 or $50 even.
Right.
You would have paid $50 to see it right then and there in a heartbeat, in an instant.
Yeah.
So you could have had millions of people at $50 a pop.
Dude,
that's crazy thinking about how much money that is.
Well, the fight industry has done this for years, man. You think about pay-per-view parties.
Like Tyson fights back in
yeah. Like,
I want to see that. He's gonna kill him. Have you seen the training videos from Mike Tyson?
He looks crazy.
Holy crap, he's gonna kill him. I mean, if you watch the training videos, you're like, that it looks better than his training videos from when he was young.
Well,
he looks faster and more vicious.
Ferocious, yeah. And the trainer, I feel bad for the trainer. The trainer's like,
he's just getting killed. That's crazy.
Oh man. Well, yeah, that's I think you're right though, man. I mean, with my show, we don't do pay-per-view. Because I wanted to, with everything that's going on right now, I felt that I wanted to make music again and be able to play with people again. And I wanted to be able to put music out there for people to enjoy. And, you can't go to a show and like be in a venue with other people, but you could watch our stream for an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half, and, have a good time. But you're right.
You go play in Sturgis, you can.
Yeah, it's true. There's some venues that I've played that I wouldn't want to be out in the crowd, but I think it is here to stay, man, and I think it'll be kind of a hybrid system in the future. You'll have venues doing it, you'll have artists and bands doing it, And I think if you can figure out how to do it now and figure out how to do it well now, I think you'll have a big advantage moving forward, which is part of the reason we're trying to do it, you know?
Yeah, that's great. BV says, for Rhett, are you using Rogue Amoeba's loopback within Luna? That will help.
I don't know what Rogue Amoeba's loopback is. Yeah. So what I was talking about earlier with running into some limitations, what I didn't mean to sound like I was talking shit about Luna. What I mean is, so one of their key things in Luna is this thing called ARM, which lets you basically track with zero latency. But because we're essentially mixing, recording, and monitoring off of the session at the same time simultaneously. And so we're doing a lot of weird things with signal routing and busing and sending stuff to multiple places. And so because of that, we weren't able to use things like ARM. And there's certain plugins that we can't use if there's too much latency in the plugin, because again, we're like monitoring off of it. So we have to have it in real time. But yeah, like Mark, what you were talking about a second ago, if somebody out there made a DAW, so here's what needs to happen. If there's any possible investors out there, email me. Somebody needs to make a piece of hardware, okay? Because I had to buy so much shit that was like, oh, I have to have a video switcher, but then that video switcher needs to have like 3 other different things to go with it. And then, oh, you need to have all these different audio. Somebody needs to make one thing that's like a little console, maybe a 16-channel, 24-channel console that you can send audio to, you can send video cameras to, and it'll do all of the work. It'll sync all the audio and video together, and then you just connect it to your computer via a USB-C cable and just stream it out. If somebody made that piece of hardware, you'd be golden. You'd sell tons of them. Tons of them. So,
interesting. Interesting.
Sure, it's called an iPhone in the room with the musicians.
So BV clarified. He said, loopback within Luna that will help with the audio cable-free virtual channels audio routing as long as you are on a Mac.
Okay, I am on a Mac. We'll have to look into that. It's kind of that situation where we got it working, and so we're kind of afraid to touch anything because we got it all where it needs to be, and so it's like don't look at it, don't breathe on it, don't touch anything, don't move anything, just leave it.
Leave well enough alone.
Yeah.
All right. Robert Bogdan, why not have a sponsor for your live show? I'm not sure if that's for us or for Rhett. We do have a sponsor. That's Sweetwater.
I think it's for Rhett.
But if it's for Rhett.
Yeah, I have several. Universal Audio and Line 6 and Hercules and Moog. Yeah, we got, they really helped us out. I wouldn't have been able to do this without some sponsorships. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, you guys should definitely check it out because it sounded great. So let's talk about the influence of the band. I mean, is this your permanent band that you're playing with, or is this a? Tell us about what you're doing with the band.
This is the band that I wanted to put together for 10 years. My career as a guitar player has been just strictly a hired gun. I've never really done any original stuff of my own. I always jump on with artists or do session work and stuff. And it's been on a small scale. I've not had like any huge illustrious gig or anything like that, but I've been able to like work and make a living for 10 years doing that. And so this is basically the group of people and the music that I've wanted to play with and play ever since I started playing, really.
Oh,
so right now we've only played together like 6 times in total. So we're still kind of figuring it out. We're still kind of finding the sound and finding the vibe, but pretty soon we're going to start writing, and the goal is to put out some kind of EP or album in the next probably 6 months. And the long-term goal is once this pandemic is over, we actually go out and start booking some festivals and some gigs, and go over to Europe and play, and go play all over the States.
Right. So
that's
awesome. Well, you guys sound great. I mean, it was. I didn't hear the whole thing. It was definitely a mix of great rock.
Now I got to check it out. I haven't seen it.
Tune in on Sunday, man.
All right.
Yeah, and listen to it on a good schedule.
What time on Sundays?
5 p.m. my time, so that'll be 2 p.m. your time.
Yeah. 2, 3, 2. Was 2 hour difference? 3.
3. I'm in Atlanta. It's Eastern.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm playing real amps. You'll be happy to know.
Sweet.
Yeah. Canon Lawrence. Yeah, the first live show sounded amazing. I can't wait till this Sunday. Sounded like you guys are rocking some Hendrix.
We may or may not be. I can neither confirm nor deny. You'll have to just tune in and see what we're going to play. Got to leave some level of mystery there.
Exactly. Let's see. Stephen Douglas, Dave Freeman, what year is that Marshall cab behind you and what speakers?
Early 70s. And that particular cab is has G12M 30-watt greenbacks. So that one's cool. There's another cab you guys can't see. It's to the, well, I don't know. No, wait. That way. Sorry. That way. And it's a same basket weave as that cab, but it has I'm sorry. Those are 30-watt blackbacks, not greenbacks. And the other ones are 25-watt blackbacks. So this would be later 70s, actually.
I'd love to hear those.
Both these cabinets sound really cool, and I got them. It's so weird. It's like when I was a kid, I had all sorts of basket weave cabinets like this, and that were really cool. And over the years, of course, I didn't have them anymore. And something fell into my lap, like a deal. Someone told me about. There's this pawn shop, and they got all these cabinets, and they're going to sell them. I just bought one. You want in? I go, what is it? What is it? And it's these two cabinets, and I got them for like a song, too. I mean, and I wanted a vintage cabinet. I was thinking about buying one, but I got these two They're immaculate, and I got them for half market value.
Nice.
Wow.
So, and I'm so happy I have them because they sound incredible.
with the blackbacks that came in them, is that the original speakers?
Yeah, it's all original cab.
Yeah. I
mean, they're like, and they're two different cabs. The funny thing is I bought the first one. Well, the funny thing is my friend who told me about it bought one. I bought one. I told George Lynch about it. He bought one or two. And then there was a bunch of cabinets, like a ton. And then Pete Thorne bought one also. So the cabinet he uses is also from the same batch. And it was a pawn shop that had, I don't know, it was like 6 cabinets or something.
Yeah.
6, checkerboard vintage cabinets.
Wow.
And they had some amps and some different things also, but the amps were in rough shape. But they were all with covers. They had been sitting in the pawn shop for I think like 15 years.
Wow.
So, and finally the guy stopped paying on his deal and they decided to sell it, So they literally hadn't been touched for like 15 or 20 years, I think he told me.
Jeez.
In just covers over the cabinets. Like I have the original covers for them.
Oh.
I'm like, and the guy told me the price. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I wasn't planning on buying it today, but yeah, I'll buy it today.
Let's load it up.
And then they said, well, there's another one. You want this one? I go, what speakers are in this one? And it was the 30s. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take that too. So, unforeseen bill, but it was actually such a cheap price that it was great.
It's worth it.
And then the amp below the 50-watt back there is a Jose Arredondo modded Marshall. So that I recently had acquired. It's like a 74-ish era.
What's the mod?
It's the Jose modded Marshall, the famous, Jose Arredondo modded Marshall. And that fell into my lap also.
Nice.
Thanks to a friend. And it was at a those are worth a lot of money, and it was at a price that was like, I got to buy it now.
Yeah, and
I
now
wasn't expecting that one either. I hate it when I'm not expecting it, and I have to, but you have to do it because you know it's worth.
Set aside, just have a like an envelope in your kitchen somewhere in a cookie jar that's your unexpected.
Well, yeah. You know, it's like when it comes along, if it's a great price, you got to jump on it because you know.
Yeah.
I mean that amp's worth $5,000.
Yeah.
Because of that mod.
Right.
And
if you decided to sell,
I did not buy it for anywhere close to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was I would make a good profit if I sold it.
This is an interesting question from Mr. Night Owl and Company. Any thoughts of doing it more often with other bands, like letting other bands come use your setup?
Not really, man. I mean, yeah, it's kind of our thing, and what we're gonna do is have guest artists come in, guest musicians, guest artists, and do a combination of our music and their music, sort of with our sound. It's kind of like when you know, if an artist comes and plays with the Roots, you know, like it's not the Roots playing that artist's show, it's that artist playing with the Roots. It's kind of that same sort of model. And that's, you know, it's kind of what, and I guess the other part of it too is it's sort of this is a new path for up and coming bands to try and do. I see it on social media a lot. Like there's one band where I think they're out in LA somewhere, but they're blowing up on Instagram. I can't remember their name right now, but they have they rent a house together, and there's a pool, and their whole thing is they have their band set up in the backyard, and they make videos of them playing outside.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't think of the name.
I can't either, but they're killer. They sound great. And I mean, why not, man? They're getting thousands of views on their music. And
there's another band, it kind of in the same genre. There's another band out of LA that's really young kids, called Slaves to Humanity. And some friends of mine produced some of their music, and they were the #1 most requested new music on KLOS out here. And it's amazing band. If they continue with the same caliber of songs that the one big hit single was they had, then
is that Amir's band?
Yeah, Amir was producing. Yeah, and that's great.
Eric,
really great.
Eric has it. The Main Squeeze. That was the band I was talking about. The pool.
Okay.
Yeah, they're called the Main Squeeze.
Check it out.
I would like to buy a place here in Atlanta. I saw some friends of mine got married last year in Nashville, and it was this like multi-use. It used to be a warehouse, and they turned it into like a photo studio. So it had like the all white walls with the rounded floors and everything. And I don't know what you call that, but basically they would rent it out. They had weddings there. They would host live shows there. Like bands could come and play. You could shoot music videos. It was basically like a creative space. And I could see doing something like that where I own the space and it was set up for whatever. And you would sell different packages. Like, oh, you want to have a live stream show? Okay, cool. This is what it entails. This is what you get. Or you
do you know, you might not know him, but you're in the same area, Bill Kelleher?
No.
I should introduce you guys. He's in Atlanta from Mastodon. Bill Kelleher from Mastodon.
No, but obviously no Mastodon. Yeah.
He's in the same area, and actually he might be fun to play with your band.
That would be that'd be awesome, man.
But he has some I think he has a rehearsal studio and stuff. And some properties and things. So maybe you guys should talk.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
Bill's super cool, and he's there, and I'll hook you guys up.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe there's a business model here.
Right.
So
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason Thurlow says, "Thanks, Tone Talk. Started watching after your Jakey Lee live stream. Well, I'm glad that you stuck it out, and
I'm glad you didn't stop watching after the Jakey Lee live stream."
Exactly.
You still watched after that, huh?
Right. He still stuck it out. Time to learn Mastodon, Rhett.
Yeah, yeah, it is, man. It sure is. Oh man.
Yeah, Bill was cool. He was on the show. Nice guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're a big fan of Divided by 13.
I am a believer in the Church of Divided by 13. That is for sure.
Yeah, we had Brett Pop on as well, and we were talking about.
I love Rhett.
Good dude.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, tell us about what is that? Is that the one amp that you found that was like your holy grail that you were like that one video that you did?
Yeah. Well, no, this was an amp I bought back. So when I got hired by that band in Nashville, this band called Muddy Magnolias, I didn't have an amp that really fit that sound. It's very much like roots Americana rock sort of band. There's two female singers. It was a lot of fun, and the venues and stuff they were going to be playing, I didn't really have an amp that could fill that. So I went shopping and went to Righteous Guitars, which is about 20 minutes from me, and found that. And I never really played a Divided by, but that was one of the first amps I played where there was that immediacy. You know, when you crank it up and you play a note, there's a thud that happens. It's like a concussive kind of thing. And it really just stuck with me. And so I had some stuff that I sold off and picked that up, and I absolutely love it. And then I recently just got my second one. I got an RSA 23 that I ordered from Fred back in January, and that's what I'll be playing on the show on Sunday. And so that's like, if you're going to have two Divided by 13s, if you're going to have two of Fred's amps, you want to have the FTR 37, which is that one, and the RSA 23. I think those are the two sort of flagships that he does. So I've got them. I'm waiting on the cabinet to come for the RSA. Apparently, Celestion, there's a speaker shortage at the moment. So I'm waiting for it's a greenback 212 that'll be coming for that RSA. Yeah, man, I just really like Fred. I really like the build quality of his amps. If you've ever opened one up, I mean, they're it's just insane, man. The build quality is ridiculous. So, and I've never had that one's been all over North America and Canada and parts of Mexico, and had it for about 4.5 years now. Original tubes, haven't had any issues with it. Completely stock. Yeah, I love it, man. Love it.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a local place by me called MAE Music. They don't have them anymore. They used to carry Divided by 13 for a period of time, and I would go in there and just plug in and be like, yeah, this is a great amp. It was definitely a step above, but the price was very, very high at the time.
They're not cheap, and they're very loud. They're not home friendly amps by any means. And there's no way in hell. So that's supposedly a 37 watt amp, but that's the loudest 37 watts I've ever heard in my life. It's got to be more closer to 50 or more. I mean, that thing will peel paint at 4 or 5. And the RSA 23 is the same way. Like, you can't in a small room. That's why I'm using the aux for the shows, because we're in a small room, like in a basement, and you can't push an amp down there, especially because we've got live mics and everything everywhere. So yeah,
as well. I mean, the aux sounds fantastic.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. Especially. So when you're doing it that way, are you able to get any of the effects from the aux, or it's just using it? Or
yeah, I'm using a lot of room sound, and then I'm using the 1176. I like a bit of compression. I don't use compression in front of my amp at all. I never use a compressor pedal. I did for a while, but it's just not. I don't think it's a great, especially the always on compressor thing. I don't think it really works that well. I think it's a crutch more than anything, personally. Now, a compressor as like an effect, if you're going to use it to get a super squash kind of sound, that's a different thing. But I like a compressor going into, basically onto tape. I really like an 1176.
Yeah, post the mic preamp if you're miking.
Yeah.
1176 is fantastic, especially if you're doing the Americana kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're doing that semi-broken voxy sort of thing.
Yep.
A compressor after is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing.
An 1176 minus between like 3 and 9 dB, or if it's just kind of sitting right in there, it's the sweet spot. So
I agree.
Yeah, man.
Killer.
That's cool. Brandon Thompson, I just want to say hello, Mr. Freeman. I cannot wait to be able to afford one of your amps one day. To this day, the best sounding and feeling amp I've ever played through. Cheers. Keep it loud.
Thank you.
That was very nice. Dave will give you a discount now. I'm just kidding. It's like, no, I can't.
I'm sending Mark an invoice.
Mark will wake up for the difference.
I can give you a discount. How much of a discount do you want? Because I'm sending Mark an invoice.
I thought you'd cut him a break, since he was so nice. Ethan Ricks, what happened to Zach Brown's place down in Atlanta where his label was? He had a ton of stuff. Do you know?
I think it's all up in Nashville now, man. He's got that studio, Southern Ground Studios up there. Yeah, Zach Brown, I mean, that was just before my time. Like by the time I came into starting to play and gig around Atlanta, those guys were all up in Nashville and doing their thing. But I know I play with a lot of guys down here that, Zach was gigging, 4 or 5 nights a week around Atlanta for a long time. And had, everybody who played guitar, I think in Atlanta at some point played with Zach. And so, yeah, but I kind of missed that train. But yeah, I think everything pretty much now, they're all Nashville based. I don't even know if he even has anything in Atlanta anymore. No.
Papa Blue, do you use a Kemper? What do you think? So I see one up on your shoulder there.
Yeah, I do use a Kemper from time to time. It's well, at this point right now, because there's not any touring happening or playing live, it's it's a really quick solution if I'm like recording a video or something and I just want to turn something on and play it real quick to get it into the video. That's how I'm using it now. I have gigged with them. It's the modeler thing is interesting. Actually, Dave, we talked about this back in January. I think modelers, I'm a big fan of them. I like the Kemper, I like the Helix stuff. The Axe Effects is really great. And it's a great tool, especially when you're traveling. If you're doing some kind of fly date or you're going somewhere like festival dates or things like that, where you're going to be relying on some kind of backline amp. You probably don't know exactly what you're going to get, and it's going to be real quick. You're not going to have a lot of time. It's kind of a throw and go situation. With those or you're an opening band where you've got a real quick load in and you got to pack the stage super fast, that kind of situation, I usually take my Helix or a Kemper just because it's consistent. It sounds good. And especially if you're on in-ears, it sounds the same every night. But if I'm playing a gig that is like more of like a headlining situation or where you have more control or more time, I pretty much always go for an amp at that point, because the Kempers are great and the Helixes are great. They're all just trying to meet that benchmark of a tube amp. And they get really close. I think a lot of them get really close, especially coming through like studio monitors and stuff. But if you're trying to get to this thing, when you have the opportunity, you should just take this thing.
Right, just use it. You've got it.
So they're great tools, man. They're really great tools.
It'd be interesting to see how your live stream would be with a real amp versus a Kemper.
Well, I'm using the hybrid setup. It's like, and I think now that's going to become more of the standard for guitar players. We're using a tube amp, a real amp,
with the ox.
with an aux or with some kind of digital cab simulator thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, as BB says, studio monitors, yes. Real speakers, not so much.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Joe Alba wants to know what are we sipping on tonight? So, have you made it onto your second bottle?
Yeah, I'm 2 glasses deep in the second bottle here.
So, which one do you like better?
The Bullet. Yeah.
Nathaniel Pearson, Persone, maybe? What about the Friedman BE Deluxe versus the Divided by 13? Well, they're really different.
Polar opposite amp.
Yeah.
Divided by 13 is a more vintage style amplifier with no master volumes. Crank it up and go kind of thing. Ideally suited for, shall we say, those in-between tones.
Mm-hmm.
The semi-broken tones is what a Divided by 13 does well.
Yep.
I think, personally. And the Friedman, is more Marshall based. So, it's going to do a totally different thing than the Divided by.
Yeah. It'd probably be probably a better comparison to compare the Bucks and Betty.
Bucks and Betty to the Divided by, maybe, and or even, well, no, it doesn't really do it either. I was going to say the Twin Sister or Dirty Shirley thing that we're doing. Mm-hmm. But it's different still. It's
yeah.
Depends on which Divided by also too you're talking about. So
yeah.
Hip Metalworks. If tubes didn't exist right now, what would you buy or design?
Oh hell.
Yeah.
I don't know. Good question.
You'd be calling
a really good solid state amp.
Thomas Blug. Hey, can we use some of those?
But he still has tubes in his though.
Right.
Plugins.
Yeah.
That's a rough thing. I think there's some solid state designs that could be done that sound cool. That sound tube like. But nothing's going to replace the tubes, really.
No. Neil Massey.
Modeling amp.
What is Friedman's equivalent to the JCM 800? That would be the
Jakey Lee amp.
Yep.
Nice.
So go get one. I saw one for sale today, used on Facebook. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, there was one guy bought it that already has a few of my other amps, and he decided that I don't know why. It just wasn't what he wanted.
Yeah, he said
it was like a few $100 less than a new one.
Yeah.
Like 35 or something like that.
Yeah. Any love for Novo on the stream, Rhett?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got my number one right here.
Sweet.
This is my baby.
Cool.
And then this one is not mine. I've done everything in my power to try and make it mine, but Dennis won't let it go. But this is the prototype.
Oh, it's like Esquire Novo.
Yeah, it's badass, man. Dennis built this one. It's the prototype for the Winter NAMM show. And I was only supposed to have it for a couple weeks to like do some video stuff with it, and then the pandemic hit, and I've had it since January.
Yeah.
So
we shouldn't talk about it.
We should not even look at it.
Right. It's
now that you've reminded everyone
I've reminded everyone that I have it. You didn't see that. No, I'm a big Novo fan. I say this all the time. I'm a fanboy of Novo, and I think Dennis Fano, I think he'll go down as one of the great guitar designers and builders, just period. I think he's every bit up there with Paul Reed Smith and Leo Fender and Ted McCarty and all those guys.
Yeah, he does cool stuff.
It's it's unique. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I get it, but if you've ever played one, they have a thing that not many other guitars I've played do. So
that's cool.
Yeah, man. That's right.
Mark Salyers, does Friedman have the equivalent of a Marshall 1974X?
1974X. What is a 1974X? Sorry.
Is that the
I thought that was,
1959, which is like the
Well,
reissue?
1959 is like a super lead, but what's the 74X?
I thought that was like more like a blues breaker. Maybe I'm wrong.
I feel like
I don't know. Type it in.
It's a reissue of the 1974, produced 1976 and 1968, just like the original. It's an 18-watt combo.
Oh, well, all our 20-watt amps have roots in the 18-watt thing. Do we make an exact 18-watt? No. Not the vintage style 18-watt. No.
Right.
Well, they weren't that great.
Hmm.
The actual 20-watt vintage Marshall heads were super cool though. They were a little different in circuit, and all the power sections for all our 20-watt amps sort of derive themselves from that era amp.
Okay. Do you guys know any more affordable alternatives to the Vox AC30? More affordable?
No.
They're pretty affordable.
Nothing that's any good. Yeah, no, like a Vox AC30, like the production ones, the Chinese ones and stuff they have, it just that does not sound like an AC30. No way. No. If you've played a real original copper top AC30 top boost amp, you will surely know that anything new Vox does not sound remotely close to that.
Yeah, the new ones have this like really gross. The best way I can describe it is like an ice pick to your ear.
Yeah, not the old ones have this unbelievably cool compression, and when you grind them up a little bit and distort them, they're almost like a compressed version of a old Marshall or something. In some respect.
I really love the early '90s Korg era AC.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. And still not like the original ones,
right? But the thing that it does is real cool. Were those built by Marshall? I heard somewhere that Korg
that was
Marshall to build those.
Yes, that was built by Marshall.
Yeah, those are the ones to get, but they're not cheap.
Those were cool. I mean, an old one's one to get, but I'm gonna do one eventually.
Really?
Yeah.
Mr. Friedman.
There's a vintage line coming eventually, and one of the amps I really would like to do properly is a exact duplicate of my copper top AC30 top boost.
You sir have piqued my interest. That is
so that one is going to be good, and I won't be happy until it sounds exactly like the one I own.
Alnico Blues in that, right?
Well, yeah, that would have to have El Nico Blues. Yep.
Okay.
But then again, it's not really all about the speaker. It's more about the amp itself. Because I mean, a great Vox will sound good into a 4x12.
That's true.
So, I mean, really will.
Yeah.
Richard Friend, any possibility of getting David Bray on the show? I actually asked him and he said no.
He did?
Yep.
Why?
I don't know. He wasn't interested. Yeah, he wasn't interested in coming on.
Really?
Yep.
It's interesting. I know David. David's awesome. He's a nice guy.
Well, maybe give him a call. Yeah. I bought some stuff from him. I bought a line out box from him. And that, at the time, because I was doing the wet, dry, wet thing, and I don't want to bother you. So, and he just sells them. So I bought it for like $50. And at the time I asked him, I said, you should come on the show. He's like, yeah, no. So, some people are like that, like Michael Landau's, because Steve mentioned to reach out.
Yeah, sure. No, I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I wish he would, but I certainly respect his privacy. So
yeah,
but yeah, Bukovac is on the list. So
yeah, I'd love to have him.
Yeah, sure. I need to reach out. Need to reach out to him. Yeah, let's see. Do you guys have the same love for Tom Book? Yeah, we'd love to have him on. I've had several people say you guys need to have him on, so we will.
Yeah.
So I know it's getting late, Dave. I know you got to run, so let's see if we have any other questions. So, Rhett, tell us your channel and how people can reach you and watch your stuff.
Just my name, Rhett Shull. It's on YouTube and Instagram. And like I said, live show this Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So would love to see everyone there. It's, you can catch it later, but I think there's something cool about catching it live when it's actually happening. There's that element of danger that we might totally shit the bed and,
Well, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, that's what we're all pulling for.
People are giving super chats, betting.
Yeah. No,
that's great. Yeah, you guys should definitely check it out. I'll put a link down below for people to check out your channel and check out the show.
Thanks,
and please leave a thumbs up here. Please subscribe, as I mentioned, and click the bell. Everybody who's watching, all 327 of you, please do that now. Well, wait. Just go ahead and do that now. All right. Have you done it yet? All right, cool. And check out Sweetwater. Please check out Sweetwater. I have a link below. If you click that link and purchase something from them, it provides a little kickback to us and helps support the channel, helps pay for certain expenses and those types of things. So we appreciate it. Let me tell you about the lineup that we've got coming. So Steve from Dan Electro, August 21st, which will be cool. Jordan Ziff from Rat, August 28th. Did you say something, Dave? Uh-oh. He froze. His internet's not too good tonight.
Yeah. There he is.
Are you there, Dave? No.
Yeah.
Okay, you there?
Everything went out for a minute.
Yeah, you're a little grainy. Toast.
Well, with live streams, who knows what happens?
Yeah, that's okay. I bet your rider's on the internet right now, like watching YouTube or something, messing with the.
Everyone's on the internet.
Right. So Toast and Abasi, September 11th. Misha Mansour, September 18th. Steve Lukather, October 2nd, part 2.
Sweet.
Which will be cool. Then Dave Weiner, October 9th. And I believe Tim and Pete will come back on October 16th, or we may change that date. And then we've got Martin from Victory Amps on October 30th.
Awesome.
Quite the lineup, man.
Yeah,
we keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. So all the way to the end of October, and we'll keep going.
I talked to also Rusty Anderson from Paul McCartney's band. I would like to have Rusty on. So that's in the future too. And
Lindy Fralin, I'm going to talk.
Lindy Fralin would be great.
Yeah, definitely want to have him on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get some pickups from him for my G&L. So
he makes great pickups.
Yeah, I want to get like a vintage hot set of just single coils Strat, like 60 Strat.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Awesome. All right, well, Rhett, I want to thank you, man. Thank you for coming on. I think you've got an awesome channel. Everybody should really check it out. Check out your band and check out what you guys are doing.
I really appreciate it, guys. Like I said, it genuinely is a privilege to be on this show, and I really, really appreciate it, man. You guys are awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody who's watching the show. You guys are awesome. All 279 of you have stuck it out. But everybody who watched, really appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy. Wear your mask. And we'll talk to you soon. Brett, hang on a second as I end.